Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Dave.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Welcome back to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. I am Dave, and this is Jen. This is episode number 96. We're only a month away from 100. We've got some fun plans for 100. Unlike me, normally, I'm actually planning ahead for 100.
Oh my gosh, who are you?
Exactly. Now, we haven't actually had on a guest in a while. It's been you and I for many, many, many weeks. But I am pleased to have met this gentleman about 10 minutes ago, and I'm really excited to have him on because, Jen, I know that you know Gene.
I have met Gene,
So, Jen,
yes.
why don't you do the intros? Because I'm going to say, this is Gene from a number of Disney podcasts. But, Jen, you got the better introduction, so please, go ahead.
No, actually, I met Gene through co-host Christine from the Divas podcast, and she contacted me, oh gosh, whenever we had you on last year, Gene, and she just said, I met this guy, Gene. He's awesome. He's from the Magical Lifestyle, and he's got an Instagram page and a YouTube, and I think he'd be great on Divas. I was like, yeah, let's have him on. We had him on. He was just super interesting. He is a super interesting guy. He's got a lot of fun.
No pressure, Gene.
Be interesting
Now you have to be super
right?
and interesting.
And I just thought it would be super fun to have him on this cast as well to introduce him to our audience and chat Disney. Super knowledgeable, of course, and a huge Disney fan like all of us. So this is Gene, and I know David has some questions for him. We're going to let Gene talk about what he does on podcasting / YouTube. Quasi-producer Heather actually was just on his network last night. I don't know when that airs, but quasi-producer Heather is actually...
It was last night.
Was it last night? Oh, it was live. Okay, yeah.
She's so good at live. She really is good at live.
She was great. She's
like, I'm not very good on live. I'm like, you're fantastic on live. Shut up. Stop being
She undersells herself. So yeah. Go ahead,
Dave. So as we get started, though, let me ask this question to you, Jen, and then give Gene a chance to kind of think about it. Jen, how'd you Disney this week?
Oh, all right. I Disneyed this week, but we were cleaning out. I think you know that Brady's father, unfortunately, passed unexpectedly at the end of last year. So we've been going through the process of cleaning out the house. There were 50 years in that house, so lots of coming across, though, a lot of treasures in the meantime. And we did come across I'll just call it a vintage mug from the late 70s that they had managed to get. It's some Chinaware that has some logos and things on it. It's a very rare find from what we can tell.
It looks really cool. It's like if Disney had a Denny's, that would be a Denny's mug. It was
And not sure the provenance, not sure where it came from, but we did stumble across it, and it's we're like, oh wait, where did they get this? And this is like really cool. So we stumbled across that. So that's a nice little.
And you sent me the picture, and I was like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like a mug.
Now, is that up for giving? Are you like, hey, I have Disney swag here. You can have, is that, because you can send that with some other stuff if you want.
Yeah, no. That's going to be one that we keep right there.
Okay, just probably good. So for me, and this is total self-promotion, so ring the bell on this. Of course, my Facebook pages and socials have been doing, every year we do a magical movie tournament, where you pick, you have a group of movies, and then whatever gets the most votes, it advances, and onto the rounds, whatever. We're starting the second round this week, and I've been mired in Disney movies this week, because I always kind of go through and kind of set the brackets up and figure out what movies, because there's a whole lot of them that have no chance at winning. But it's always fun to see somebody comment and go, I'm going to vote for Condor Man because Condor Man needs some love. That's the only vote out of the thousands of votes we've gotten so far. That's the only vote Condor Man's going to get at all. But it's great to have that one person say Condor Man or Flight of the Navigator or Swiss Family Robinson or
Flight of the Navigator is great.
Or,
that was a cult classic.
That is a cult classic.
It is a cult classic, and I actually got a handful of votes. So did Newsies and others, and so it's just been kind of fun watching people comment on movies and such. Because honestly, your winners are going to be Poppins or Beauty and the Beast or Tangled or something like that.
Sure.
Lion King is the defending champion. Beauty and the Beast has won 4 times. We've been doing it. This is the 9th year in a row. And so my social information will be at the end of the episode, and you guys can go on and vote there with win prizes and stuff. But yeah, that's been my week, is just mired in Disney movies and thinking about films and okay, what gets left out. You know what? This might be the year that darn cat doesn't make the cut this year for the tournament, and unfortunately, we didn't get a single vote last last year. I'm like, I don't know if it's time to go back. So now the question turns to Gene. Gene, how did you Disney this week?
I Disney I feel like I Disney every minute of the day. So I can pick from a million things. I do about 1 million broadcasts on Disney. I tell you what, I could break a little bit of news right now because this hasn't even been announced. But
let's do it.
I actually set up and I actually did an interview, and I'm actually going to be a writer for Chip and Co. starting in about 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
that was one thing I did this week. So yeah, and I'll be back down in Florida for good again. I've been up in New York for about a month, taking care of a few things, and I'll be back down to Florida in about a week.
Well, congratulations on that.
Nice.
So, right, local Disney. But yeah, I've been I Disney every minute of the day. So between the shows and now writing for Chip and Co. It's a good thing I love Disney. Yeah,
good thing. So. Now you mentioned going back. Oh, sorry, David. You mentioned going back and forth. Last time I talked to you, I feel like you were in the middle of a move. Did I make that up?
Yeah, the move's actually I was down. Myself was down there. My family's still up here.
Yes.
My wife will be coming down in the beginning of the summer, so I came back up here to still kind of prep with some of the stuff that I have to bring down because we're bringing things down slowly as we go.
Of course.
So I came up. Of course, I figured let me go up to New York for a month, and I picked the coldest month of the year.
I was going to say, why of all times to choose like that? I feel like you should have selected better month.
It originally was only supposed to be like for about 10 days, and then I got up here and I was seeing family and stuff, and it just kind of next thing I know, it went into like middle of March. So, but I'll be going back.
And a nice snowstorm to boot. So
yeah, I had a couple of snow drops but it's nice being back and seeing family and hanging out with my pets, my dogs and my cats. So
good.
I miss them.
That's awesome. Well, and I asked you this question in the pre-show, and as we started to get into it, I'm like, let's just put this on the podcast because this is going to be interesting. I was kind of reviewing a lot of your stuff because I like to go back and see what the guests do and see the podcast, things like that, especially if I'm not that familiar with it. And you've got a number of podcasts. It seems like you got a podcast network with a number of podcasts under it. So talk a little bit about that, like in terms of the podcast you do, the network you have, just that whole little story there and how it's all structured.
Well, it all started originally with an Instagram page that me and my daughter were doing to kind of talk about it started off as just funny memes, some of our trips, pictures from some of our trips. And then it evolved into pictures from other photographers would tag me and stuff. So we started posting their stuff. It grew in from that to a audio podcast starting about a year and a half ago, August of 2020. And then we did that until November of 21. And that's when we hopped on YouTube. And it went from the Magical Lifestyle, which was the Instagram page, to the Disney Underground, which was the podcast, to YouTube, where we have a bunch of different shows. We have game shows. We still have the Disney Underground on Thursday nights. We have on Monday night, we have an evening with the Magical Lifestyle, and that's me and Piano Rob, where we interview a celebrity or someone. We put somebody in the spotlight that's whether it be Disney or just in some way, shape, or form famous. And then it's every night something different. Tuesdays we like theme parks. So really it's become like a thing where whatever you would it's different avenues. So like I said, we have game shows on Wednesdays and Fridays, a late night type talk show on Mondays, a community hangout on Thursdays. Sundays is the same way. It's more of a community based hangout. And then I think starting April, that first week of April, we're adding like 5 new shows across the board.
Wow.
We're having a 7:30 to 8:30 shift.
Fantastic.
I'll be on a couple of them. I won't be on all of them.
Sure.
And then we actually have a morning show that'll be almost like a Good Morning America version of Disney for an hour from 10 to 11 a.m. It'll always be on location. Whether it be the Springs or one of the resorts, we'll always be recording that. And I will be one of the hosts on that every morning. So they keep me busy.
I was going to say, I feel like this is a question that I should know the answer to, but I'm assuming this is your full-time job, correct?
At this point, yeah.
Okay.
Because
I don't know when else you would work unless you were freelancing at 2 to 3 in the morning every day or something.
Well, like I said, I'm freelancing a little bit right now with Chip and Co. That'll start in about a couple weeks. But yeah, this is pretty much my full-time gig. When I moved down to Florida, I took for about a year and a half of just putting away money, storing away money, so that way I could leave my regular 9-to-5 job and focus on making this my full-time career. Fantastic. And so far, things have gone well so far. God bless.
Yeah,
Good,
I left my 9 to 5
good.
job in August of 2015 to become a full-time travel agent, working on commission only. So basically, my life is mostly wrapped around Disney. Although I threw some all-inclusives and some other stuff in there too. But yeah, it's stressful because this is how I make the money. If I don't work, I don't eat. But at the same time, it's great because I get to do podcasts in the middle of the day with wonderful people like Gene
Yeah.
and Jen, of course. But so yeah, let's jump in here. Let's do a little bit of news. All right, so there's not a ton of stuff going on. Sometimes I feel like with Disney, like they just do all the news at one time.
Feast or famine.
Things. It's like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
I don't even know where to turn. And other times you're like looking at web pages going, okay, so there's a new cupcake that's over at Genie or whatever. But there are a few things here. Of course, Festival of Fantasy now has a special seating location for Genie Plus. That's one of the new attractions that you can get on Genie Plus when you do your lightning lanes. Thoughts on this? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this just kind of par for the course with Genie? I mean, what are we thinking about special seating here?
I think you're going to see Genie Plus evolve so much that it's going to, in a year from now, it'll be something completely different than we saw it in the first place. So it's always like, I feel like it's already evolved a bunch since they've added new rides. So to be honest, I've never once used Genie Plus yet. Being a local where I can kind of go and I don't have a rush to do anything because eventually I'll get on everything. Right. I have yet to use it. So I can honestly say I have no experience with Genie Plus in that sense because I've never actually used it, because when I go, I just go and I kind of walk around and I do there's a little line on that, then normal I'll go on that. So I kind of just go like very seat of the pants kind of thing.
Sure.
But from what I see, I think if you're on a trip and you only go once a year, once every 2 years, every 3 years, I think that anything that Genie Plus offers is a good thing for the people that don't get to go all the time.
Right. I like the idea of having the Festival of Fantasy as a Genie Plus option. If only because it sets a precedence that I think that when Finding Nemo the musical, whatever form it comes back in, it's going to probably get added to this as well. So you'll have seating for that. And of course, Lion King, things like that. And I feel like the more attractions we have that take up more people, the better.
The better it's going to operate.
This is one more thing that people will now go to, instead of everybody cramming over Millennium Falcon and Slinky Dog and whatever. This is one more thing that people can grab to kind of dilute the crowd a little bit, if that makes any sense. And I think this is going to help. So.
Yeah. And remember Fast Pass, it used to be a Fast Pass attraction or like a dining. You could do a dining package too, maybe.
I think they had the dining package, but I think it was Fast Pass though. I think you're right.
I think they had both options.
And there's only a certain amount of spots they're going to be able, because they don't have, they're not going to have a huge place for this. So really, there's 100 people that can get this lightning lane, and that's it. So I'm hoping that we'll expand it out. Maybe have special seating for the fireworks at night. I mean, I don't know. Of course, you pay for that for the dessert parties and stuff. So that's coming. Jen, have you seen the Grand Floridian redos, the rooms they're working on?
Well, not in person,
Well,
unfortunately.
wait.
I mean, I wish.
Josh hasn't called you yet to say, "Hey, Jen, what do you think?"
I mean, he should, because he knows how much I love the Grand.
Of course.
I mean, obviously, but no, I have seen the photos and I am dying because they look phenomenal. And I've been waiting for a redo. I've been waiting and patiently. I'm like, get to my beloved Grand. So it's time. I'm like, yes.
Well, I'm excited that I'm guessing to see the Grand and the refurbishment, you're obviously going to send your great agents on a trip to there out of the agency pocket to stay there a couple of nights, because we have to experience. We can't sell it if we don't experience it, Jen. Come on. Gene's nodding his head.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to sell the Grand Flow unless we can say we have been there and we've seen it. And if you need us to pay us a little bit, I can throw down $100 a night for that. That's fine.
Wow.
I'm willing to go as well, Jen. So if you want to send, someone outside the box,
okay. I mean, this is such a great option for me. I'm gonna really have to sit down and consider this. You guys are very self-less.
Gene will pay his way too. He'll pay $100 a night as well. So we'll chip in.
Shoot, then I mean, we should be good.
We're benevolent like that. All right,
do you see how they just keep giving?
Well, except we're givers. We're here to solve problems. So here's the next thing. 2 questions on this. Number 1, how do we feel about the Epcot Experience permanently closing? And 2, do we think most people even knew the Epcot Experience even existed? So, For people who don't know, it was set off over by I'm not gonna say the Odyssey and the whatever because people
Well,
may
it
not
was
even
in
know
Odyssey.
That. Well, I know, but people may
Yeah.
even know that at this point. So if you're walking the World Showcase, you take a left, you go by Test Track as you're walking to
Mhm.
Mexico to get your tequila because that's where you're going. You know, off to the side there in a building, you can walk in real briefly, do like a little roundabout there, walk around this great little setup with Spaceship Earth in the middle of this 360-degree screen that was showing all these things that Epcot was and is and will be and whatever. And it was just a fun little walkthrough. It was, you know, you could spend 10 minutes in there, look around, or spend however long. I don't think that most people even knew it existed or why this existed.
Not
they were like, oh, that's fun.
post-COVID.
Yeah.
I feel like post-COVID changed it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I get why they're getting rid of it. It wasn't supposed to be there long term anyway. It was almost supposed to be like just a look
blue
into
sky.
the future of what
Right.
Epcot was going to be.
Mhm.
So I get it. Although if it's not done yet, I say leave it up until you're closer to it being finished, because that was the whole point of it, is to say, hey, don't, you know, we have all these boards up and stuff for a reason. This is what we're going to get. By taking it down, I feel like we're still so far away from it being done. I think it's a little too soon.
Although some of it has changed at this point, like, you know, some of the things
That's
have been
true.
tabled and whatnot since it first came out. So I will admit, I didn't go post COVID to look and see if they took out the things that got shelved for the moment. Like my beloved Mary Poppins. Don't get me started. I'm gonna cry.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite Disney movie.
Chapek says
gosh, mine too.
Chapek says it's coming. He just doesn't know when. But a lot of other sites have said it's gone. Like don't expect it anytime.
No, it needs to come back
soon. Well, there was supposed to be like this Playhouse Pavilion, which I think they're working on a Play Pavilion.
I do feel like that's still there.
There's supposed to be like this platform patio area with like the statue on it and everything, kind of somewhere around Spaceship Earth, and just all these wonderful aesthetics and whatever. And I think now I kind of feel like Disney's like, okay, what can we do to get done with Epcot and be done with it? And we'll look at it again in 5 years for the 45th or something, or for the 50th. We'll bring some stuff back, and you know that's when we'll redo Spaceship Earth. Do we think Spaceship Earth will ever get refurbished? I would say anytime in the next 2 or 3 years, or do we think it's just, let's figure everything out?
I think it's such a classic as is. I think they look at it like they don't need to touch it. I think
I think they were okay to touch it at first. You're right, but I think now it's like
it's beloved. You know.
Yeah. It is beloved just like it is, because yes, they had Jeremy Irons before, and I know we've had the first person that did it, and I can't think
Walter
of the guy.
Cronkite.
I know Cronkite did it, but wasn't there one other person? Or is it just those two? And then
I thought it was just those two, and then
now Dame Judi Dench.
Okay,
as number 3.
Okay, well, a lot of people, you know, there are people that refer back to them, but most people I know don't even know that they did it. Most people know Judi Dench now because she's done it for so long. So I agree. I kind of think like it is. It's classic, and this is what people want, and it's a fun ride, and it's a people eater. So it's going to be hard to take that out without something else to absorb all those crowds, because not everybody's going to be able to ride Guardians for the first 6 months or a year and a half. Speaking of new attractions, they are testing Tron. Tron is finally moving into the testing phase. Do we have a prediction of when this is going to open? Do we think, Jen, what do you think? Or Gene, you probably know more than we do. Break the news for us, man. Tell us.
Yeah, I know that they said they're starting the push and pull tests now, right? So
yeah,
I mean, who knows? I think it would make sense that not even when it's ready to open, they're obviously going to save it for a part of the year where they're like, all right, let's. I had no problem with them not having it ready for like earlier in the 50th, because to me it made no sense. You're already going to have a tremendous amount of crowds there.
Right.
Why have something that will be another big draw at the same time? So like, I was surprised they decided to do Ratatouille at the same time, although I think the reason why was to even out the crowds, having watched it with Epcot. And, but other than
that ride had been ready for months.
I mean, that had been ready for a while.
And so they were like, let's do it, because it's the best time to do it right before Christmas, 50th and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what it is too. Is that way, you would have think about how many people would have been trying to get into Magic Kingdom if there was nothing in Epcot going on that day. So I think that's what helps smooth out the crowds a little bit. But yeah, I think that you're going to see them probably wait till. What was the last update? It was like mid 2023.
Yeah, they had said. I think they had been forecasting 2023.
But I'm hearing like they're going faster than they were scheduled. Like they're moving really quickly.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if I don't. Maybe this is just pipe dreams here, but I'm wondering if they're going to have it ready maybe by Christmas this year, like November, Thanksgiving week, whatever.
Could
because that would be a huge boon for Disney. Or wait another year or so, and because Epic Universe is coming along nicely, very quickly.
I don't see them holding it for a full year once
No.
it's ready. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see them holding it for a little bit.
No.
I can't see them holding it for a full year.
Plus, any earlier that according to ahead of the timeline they can get it, that's a feather in Chapek's cap, right? Like he needs some good news,
Yeah,
and
he
that's
needs
something but that's something that he can actually, people say, oh, well, you know what, he got this out a year ahead of schedule or whatever it would be. I think that's something that would be really good. Even if that who knows. That might even be already the plan. Who knows?
That's true.
That's
true.
But he could use some good PR, and that would definitely be good PR.
He needs some good juju right now.
Yeah.
Well, I would think Christmas would be ideal too, because obviously it's going to be a huge busy time for Disney.
Yeah.
Dilute the crowds from what Guardians is going to be. Let's put a lot of crowds over there in Magic Kingdom. And now you still have Rise of the Resistance, which people are still trying to ride, or people still trying to ride more than once. And now that will kind of even out a little bit and let people actually get on that for a change. Because, park passes are going to fill up so fast for both of those parks. You may not have a choice. But but there you go. That's all the news. Now, I want to jump real quick. And then, Jen, this is for you. It's a mea culpa that from last week's episode. We want to make a correction because we made the dumb assumption that there are classic characters and new characters. We talked about how Figment is an icon of one of the festivals and everything, and he's an older character, whatever. And Spike the Bee, where did he even come from? He's a new character, blah, blah, blah. We're not very smart. I was corrected more than once. The fact that Spike the Bee, including by quasi-producer Heather's daughter, that Spike the Bee is from an old classic Donald Duck cartoon. He's an old-time character, older than all of these characters that we've talked about. So we are sorry. For anybody we have hurt, we are sorry. We did not.
We're sorry to Spike the Bee.
We're sorry to Spike the Bee and his family, and we did not mean to misrepresent his buzziness. And we will move forward, and we will learn from this opportunity. So yes. Spike the Bee, old school Donald character. Right,
Which I do recall seeing that cartoon like once.
I
was like, oh yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah, the first part, Ryan Street from the Iron Geek podcast reached out to me, and he was like, "Hey, Spike the Bee's from Donald Duck," and I was like, crap, you're right. And we had released the episode an hour prior.
We're like, well,
hit his feed initially, and he was on it, and so it's like, well, there you go. All right, so because I know that on the Disney Underground podcast, and so is that a podcast now that has kind of completed its run? Are you going to come back with more episodes? Because I know the last episode was in December.
Yeah.
Even then, it was like a best of episode. The last few was kind of a clip show more than anything.
Yeah. We might go. You know what is the preparing for everything for YouTube has become like a full-time job. So to be able to do a lot of the editing, like that was the one thing that I was looking forward to most when Dave from Florida Park Explorers approached me about partnering up to do YouTube. Is editing used to take almost a whole weekend at times to do a show, and to look at it like, so wait, I can go live and never have to edit again in my life. Yeah, let's do it, because I feel like 1 or 2 days editing, that's 1 or 2 days that I can do other things. I can do other shows, or So I don't know if we're gonna go back. If we do go back to it, it won't be in the same way that it used to be. It would probably be like a best of thing, because we still have a bunch of clips that we haven't even used yet.
Right.
So if anything, we might go, because we recorded a bunch of Most Magical Fives that we had done to hold us out for a while, and we weren't able to use them all because we switched formats before. We recorded those all before we knew we were going to be switching formats. So we will probably come back to it as just a Most Magical Five segment, a bunch of Most Magical Five segments.
Nice.
And not what the initial show was.
Right.
Sure.
But that's just to give everybody that took the time out to record those, to get them on the air. And but I think at this point we're pretty much just YouTube, only because I just don't have the time to do both. I mean, you guys know how much it takes to edit,
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We would record for 3 to 4 hours and have to whittle it down to an hour and a half episode. So that's because we would get in there every Thursday night. We would record on Thursday nights, and it would be like a bunch of friends just hanging out. So there'd be a lot of in between talk, but the next thing you know, it's taking me 48 hours to edit it, get the sound right. So I don't foresee going back to that. But but I did enjoy it while we did it. It's just that it is very, very time consuming.
Well,
sure.
It was a fun little cast, and like I said, I listened to a couple episodes, kind of went through it, and especially the Magical Fives, which were fun. I listened to her talk about the bathrooms and about the resorts and the healthy eating. So I came up with a Magical 5 questions. These are 5 just random questions about Disney things and magical things that I thought might be kind of fun to answer. And here's the first one: what would be your favorite 20-minute walk on property? walking through a certain park, a certain area, walking from one resort to the other, Disney Springs? What is your favorite? If you're walking through any 20-ish minute walk, what makes you like, I'm so happy right now that I'm walking this. I'm so excited to be walking right through here. I mean, Gene, what do you think?
I'm smiling right now because it's such an easy question for me. It's all right. So the starting point could always be different. It's either starting in Epcot or starting in DHS and walking through to the other, going through the boardwalk. Because I'll stop in the boardwalk and just hang out for a few minutes. It's such a nostalgic place, the boardwalk, for me. I was married there. That was where we took our first trip together before we were married. Boardwalk is I actually, only a couple of weeks ago, just before I came back to New York for the month, I was sitting on the boardwalk with a friend. I said, this to me is the best place. If I could sit here all day on the boardwalk, just looking at the water, I would do that. I could do that all day, every day. It never gets old. So walking from DHS all the way to Epcot and stopping along in the boardwalk for a little bit, getting myself a drink and a snack from the boardwalk bakery, that to me is like, it's something I do at least once a week.
Nice.
If ever I go to DHS, I'm always at least ending over in Epcot at one point because I want to be able to walk through. So that's
about a mile walk. Is that right? About around a mile-ish from one to the other?
I'm not really sure. I never really mapped it out. Okay. It takes about 20 minutes though, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you walk along the water and then you come up to where the Swan and Dolphin is.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
We just stayed at the boardwalk. I
love the boardwalk.
So great.
Jen, 20-minute walk for you. Where would you love to take a 20-minute walk through property?
Well, you'll probably laugh. So if I'm not doing a park walk, which
it can be a park walk if you want. It's up to you. Whatever you think.
No, because I feel like that would be like a go-to for a lot of people. Is a park walk. Right. I love the walk between the Grand Floridian and the Polynesian. I love that. You go past like the wedding pavilion and you can like walk all the way through and like through the marina at the Polynesian and around and back again. So especially if we're staying over at the Grand at the villas, that's just a nice walk. And when we've been in training down there, like if we're training for a marathon, well, okay, not a marathon, like a half marathon or a 10K, we have run that path as well. It's a nice walk. Or
now that's especially when you know where you're going versus pointing people in the wrong direction where they end up walking on the side of the highway.
Go out and go to the left. I did not say to go all the way to the highway.
Visiting Jen and Brady's room at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night on the 50th as I'm going back to my room, she's like, oh, take that sidewalk and go that way. The sidewalk led me straight to a flat wall. I took a left, took a right, walked through a parking lot, pulled my GPS out, found myself walking down through the grass on the side of the highway, carrying my bag, just trying not to trip and stumble.
Like you never needed to go to the highway.
Back to the Polynesian, trying to figure out. I think I walked through a cast member area trying to get to the building, get off the main highway, and I was like, awesome, this is fantastic. There's a big blue sign right behind me. Yay. So, that would not be my favorite walk, by the way.
Well, no, not that way.
My first inclination, honestly, is probably walking through a park, and that is going through the gates of Epcot and walking through the World Showcase, kind of the back, basically one gate to the other. I especially on a spring day or a fall day when it's nice and cool outside, when it's 70 degrees or something, and maybe I'm walking to Canada to get myself the steak, because at every festival they have little kiosks with the steak in it, the fillets or the steak tips. I love walking through Epcot because it's so open and so spread out. You can just see so much from everything. I love that walk. I just think it's a great walk. From one side to the other, and then of course you can ascend all the way in the boardwalk and just walk over the hill. And it's just, it's almost like once you get out of the International Gateway gates into the out of the park, it becomes such a different world all of a sudden. Like there's the resorts, and like you crest that hill, and it's like, wow, this is not Epcot. This is the boardwalk. And it's so great how it's set up. Next question. Name one attraction that you would love to see the Muppets take over, and what would that look like? Gene, I'm gonna give you Jen, I'm gonna give you that one first. Since Gene
you're gonna give me that one first.
Yeah, I have a good one for that.
Oh, you have an answer.
No, give Gene first. No.
Yeah, let Jen think about it.
This was an easy one for me too, because this is something that I've talked about recently too. All the rumors of us losing Aerosmith on Rock and Roller Coaster eventually, I would make it the Electric Mayhem band's ride.
Oh, I kind of love that.
That would be amazing.
All the glow in the dark stuff and
Dr. Teeth's Rock and Roller Coaster or Mayhem Roller Coaster or whatever. That would be so cool.
I've been wanting them to do that. and I love Aerosmith, don't get me wrong, but there's a part of me that says, even if Aerosmith doesn't want out, maybe let's make the change.
Right.
The one thing we don't have in the park, I always feel like they always just do a Muppet tease. They never, even though we have Muppets 3D, I get it. We have Pizza Rizzos. There's not really, other than that one little section, I don't feel like they really represent the Muppets enough in the parks to give them like a main ride like that, where, and they're still staying in Hollywood Studios still, so that's good. But to give them like a big attraction like that, I think that would be huge. I'd still love to see a character dining, a Muppet character dining, but but Rock and Roller Coaster with Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem Band would be phenoms.
Can you imagine whenever you're in the car and it's about to take off, instead of Steven Tyler singing like 3, 2, 1, you hear Dr. Teeth going, "Oh yeah," and it just takes off.
Or it's our animal, like,
and then the candy picture of that from Great Muppet Campers play. Oh my god, that is incredible. That's I've never thought about that.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't either. Like that. I don't think any idea we're gonna put out is gonna be better.
Well, and I feel like too, that's something. I don't think many people would be that bothered by Aerosmith coming out of that role. Like as long as you didn't mess up the ride itself.
Don't mess up the ride.
I mean, I don't. People they're used to the pre-show, but my gosh, for a year and a half, we didn't have a pre-show. You just walked straight through. You never got to see
That's true.
You know, so basically to that,
But
Gene,
you can do a pre-show.
I love that idea. You can definitely do a pre-show for it. It'd be great. So
you can totally do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Jen, I have an answer if you're still thinking about yours.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I think
so,
I have
and I've
one,
said this before. I think the Hall of Presidents it's a great attraction. But we're living in a day and an age where any kind of politics is so charged right now with emotion on both sides. And the people that I think you're kind of stupid if you're like cheering one or screaming at the other or whatever. It's a robot who is not hearing you, much less caring anything about you. They don't care about how you want to solve the world's problems or what kind of job you think they're doing. They're a robot. Make that a Muppets History Hall of Presidents kind of attraction. You've got enough Muppets. You can do the Muppets as the presidents if you wanted to. If you only wanted to highlight the main, I'd say the main ones, the most popular or most famous ones, the Washington, the Jeffersons, the Adams, the Lincolns, whatever. You could do that with different Muppet characters and make it a Muppet retelling of history. Make it fun, because right now for a lot of people, probably half people that go in there, it's a nap time. My wife has not seen this show in 10 years because every time she goes in, she's like, "This is such a beautiful show. I love this country. I love this." I mean, and it's just that's just her, and I get it, because last time we went with we had a family, I think 8 in our family. We went. I looked down the road, 6 of them were asleep, and like my 10-year-old was like not even caring what's going on at all. He was awake, but like make this entertaining, make it funny, make it obviously factual. But I think people would have so much fun with this. The Muppets are represented in a massive way, their own attraction, Muppet history, all the things you did with the great Muppet thing that you did before with the Muppet history stuff. Put that in there. And it would solve all those political problems, because now you don't have political things happening. You just have the Muppets telling the history. That's how I think it should go. Jen, your thoughts?
All right. So this might not even be creative at all. And for me, this would not be able to be a permanent thing. It would have to be an overlay. Like it would straight up have to be an overlay for this to happen. I don't think it could go forever. I would love to see a like a Muppet Space Mountain overlay a little bit, because you've got like, Gonzo,
like
he
Muppets
does
in Space Mountain,
like kind of situation. I know that's kind of weird, but I think it could be fun. You could do something with that, because I remembering Gonzo in an astronaut costume. Don't ask me what movie it's from. Maybe it was Muppet Babies, but that kind of doesn't make sense.
Well, Muppets in Space. They had a Muppets in Space.
Is that what I'm thinking?
And that's why I said that Muppets in Space Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, Muppets. So I mean, I just think that would be cute. Listen, I love Space Mountain, but people don't get quite as mad. Like, listen, it could work with Haunted Mansion too, but people would get ticked off about the Haunted Mansion overlay, I think, because it's such a classic attraction. Even though you could do it from the Muppets Haunted Mansion, the new show that just was out. So, but I don't think people would get as ticked off about Space Mountain, throwing some Muppets in there.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. I think, and it would be different too, because Disneyland has their Jack Skellington overlay. I think doing something with like Muppets or whatever, and this one would be great.
Great. And they do a Halloween overlay in Space Mountain out in Disneyland as well. So, even for Space Mountain, not just the, Haunted Mansion overlay, but yeah, it would have to be an overlay.
Perfect. All right. So third question, and Jen, I'll give this one to you and let you answer this one first.
Okay.
Build your perfect Disney meal, your appetizer, your entree, your dessert, and your drink from across the resort. I mean, what are you going to pull from, knowing that it could be delivered to you, and well, I'll take that back. You pick the spot you would like to eat, whether it's outside, inside, whatever location you want to eat, and what meal you're having. They're bringing it to you. Everything's fresh, everything's hot, everything's cold, whatever. They're bringing it to you. What is your perfect Disney meal?
Well, for location, I'm going to be dining at the California Grill,
Of course. Mm-hmm.
obviously, at
Obviously.
night so that I can see the fireworks again.
Yep.
Obviously. Okay.
Okay.
But for my appetizer, I'm having cheese soup from Canada with
Mhm.
complete with the pretzel bread because cheese soup from Canada. Duh.
Agreed.
For my entree, I'm a little bit torn because as much as I do love surf and turf at California Grill, I'm probably getting a yachtsman steak because
Nice.
the
Okay.
yachtsman fillet is holy mackerel. It is so good. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Mhm.
For my side dish,
And this can be counter service too, so don't feel like you're only stuck with table services. It can be whatever you want to pull.
oh no, I'm totally happy with
I
these
mean, not that you
decisions
do
so
counter
far.
services,
I
but
mean,
if you
like
did.
I'm really happy with this whole situation.
I haven't eaten a meal in Disney where people haven't
Yeah.
brought me food in 19 years.
Stop.
Let me just say this.
It's not true. But I would probably take the mac and cheese from the Enchanted Rose because
Ooh,
that
good
is
call.
like amazing. So we'd have that on the side, obviously.
Right.
Now, dessert, I would probably stick though with the California Grill desserts because they have quite a lovely selection of like cakes and cheesecakes and amazing things. They currently have
Mhm.
like a 50th anniversary sampler and I adored it. So I would stick with the California Grill dessert. So that would probably be an almost perfect Disney meal right there.
Okay. And what are you drinking?
Oh, I didn't think about that. I mean, oh,
Let
okay,
it, unleaded, doesn't matter. What are you
the
drinking?
iced tea from Tiffins.
Good
I
call.
just love the flavor of that iced tea in Tiffins. That's so weird, but that's what it is. So,
Gene, build your perfect meal. Where are you sitting to eat? And it can be outside, inside, or whatever. It doesn't have to be in a restaurant. And what is your meal components going to be?
Oh, this I may have an honorable mention or two because
Oh,
it's
please,
hard.
yeah.
This is
right. This is
a
hard.
one. All right, so I'd want to sit, obviously, no surprise, somewhere along the boardwalk on one of those red tables.
Yep.
But on a nice cool day where it's nice and cool, it's,
Right.
Earlier in the day, my appetizer would have to be the pork belly from Flying Fish. To me, it like melts in your mouth. I don't know if you guys ever had it. It like melts in your mouth.
It is
that
really
pork
good.
belly. That would be my appetizer. My main course, I don't know which route to go, and they're two different things. So one I love is obviously the fried chicken from Homecoming. The chicken,
Yes.
the chicken
Yes,
dinner
that's
is
stuff.
fantastic. But there also is the surf and turf from Narcoossee that I absolutely adore.
Oh, that's good.
They boil it in butter. I don't know whatever they do to that lobster tail is fantastic. So yeah, it would be either the surf and turf from Narcoossee or the chicken from Homecoming.
Mhm.
And my dessert, I'm actually going to go another one where it's hard, and this is how much I love Homecoming, is either that Hummingbird Cake, which to me it's a huge piece. It's the best Hummingbird Cake on the planet. To me, it's the best dessert on property, except for, and they don't make it anymore, at the Flying Fish. They used to make this caramelized banana Napoleon that
man.
I used to go
I didn't have
just to
that.
get.
Now hungry.
They haven't made it for a few years.
Oh,
I would
man.
go just for that at times.
Oh, shoot.
So those would be my desserts and my drinks. I'm a sucker for the Joffrey's peach iced tea. I get that peach iced tea 2 or 3
That's
times.
good.
Every time I'm in the park, I get 2 or 3.
Mhm.
Every time I see a Joffrey's, like, oh, gotta get another one, and I grab another peach iced tea. I live on those peach iced teas in the parks.
Love it.
They're
I love
so
it.
good.
So I am sitting outside the plaza in the evening time when it's nice and cool. Before it don't want to be too hot, don't want to be too cold, but outside the plaza on this table so I can see the fireworks if I happen to still be there, 3 hours later. My appetizer, this is going to cheat a little bit, but I'm going to get me some corn dog nuggets from Casey's. I'm going to have a nice, very nice meal here, but I'm having some corn dog nuggets because I love me some corn dog nuggets. And it is what it is, okay? I was going to say Canadian cheese soup that Jen mentioned, but I'll go a little different here because I love that soup. My entree, I'm thinking either a steak from Steakhouse 71 because the steaks were so good.
They
when
are
I was
very
there in
good.
November. But I'm also thinking the steak and eggs from Trattoria Al Forno that you have for brunch. It's
That's very
so
good.
super
That
good.
is very good.
Topolino's does something similar as
Yes,
well.
they
So
do.
whatever, and I don't know the name of the official name of the dish. I can just point at it and be like, I want that, because I don't remember names of dishes. I just remember it was meat and it was eggs and it was good. That was amazing. My dessert, I'm torn between something like the maple creme brulee at Le Cellier, which is in my mind a Hall of Fame dessert mentally for me because I love the maple creme brulee. Haven't been there in 6 or 7 years, so maybe I need to try it again. Probably do. or the blueberry mousse at Satuli Canteen over in Animal Kingdom.
That's a good one.
I
That's a good one.
freaking love that.
That's
And
a
I look
good
around
one.
the table at whoever I'm eating with, and I'm like, "Are you gonna finish that? Are you? Yes. Okay. What about?
Mhm.
Are you gonna finish that? You don't need to finish. You don't need to finish that. You've had too much. Let me have it." And so I ordered my kid one. I know he has allergies. He can't eat it. Guess I'll have to eat it.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a shame.
right? I love it so much. And for whatever drink I have, I'm gonna have a glass of water there to dilute it because I'm probably gonna either have a blue milk or a violet lemonade from Epcot.
Oh, violet lemonade is so good.
Violet lemonade,
Yeah.
which is great. All right, 2 more questions here, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Let's do a swap with Universal. Thrill ride and a dark ride or a family ride. You do one even swap. You give them one of our rides from any park. You take one of their rides. You can retheme it however you want to, or leave it as is. I mean, or change the characters if you need to. But the ride itself has to stay the same when you get it. So you can't restructure the entire thing or whatever. So what are we swapping? What are we giving to Universal?
Ooh.
And what are we taking back? Thrills and I'll go first on this one because I was thinking
Okay.
about this. My first for family ride is I'm going to send them Triceratops Spin. I think it's boring. It's in the blazing sun. That's a ride you can't really ride in the day from like May to October because it will
Correct.
burn your skin. It's
Literally.
it's just like, here's a ride to put some people on. The line's not very long. Let's go on that because everything else is just too full. Let's get rid of that. Let's bring over the Dr. Seuss ride. We can retheme it to something else, but I love the fact that it rides above, and maybe even keep
Oh,
it
the little
in
train.
Maybe even keep it in Dino Land and do it where you're going through the Dino Land, the boneyard there,
Okay.
around the dinosaur over in Dino Land or the dinosaur ride. Whatever they put in place of Primeval World, if they put anything there, maybe even have it go through the woods. Just have it something kind of theme. Maybe you can see cocktails from the ride itself, almost like an Animal Kingdom people mover. So that's what I'm thinking. As far as thrill ride, I probably would send them something like Rock and Roller Coaster. I feel like we have so many great attractions in Hollywood Studios. I know that's a big loss of a coaster. Send that over there. Bring over the Mummy and theme that to an Indiana Jones ride. We have our own Indiana Jones ride over here, but not like the one they have in Disneyland, California. Make it something different. Make that particular attraction just put to an Indiana Jones theme to it with the scares and the snakes or whatever. So those are my 2. Gene, what do you think? What are you giving to Universal, and what are you taking from Universal? Can be anything.
All right. Well,
So
first,
hard.
if I'm going to give them a thrill ride, I'm going to give them Test Track. I can't
Oh,
stand
that's probably a
Test
good
Track.
point. Yeah.
That's fair.
My biggest beef on Test Track is you spend all this time making your car, and at the end of the day, we all only go 64.9 miles an hour.
Right.
Like we all, like no matter how good,
Right.
how funky my car is, it's still going to go the same as someone who does a really great job making a sports car.
Right.
I can't stand that ride. I wish I liked it because I know a lot of people love it. But I would trade that one for. And to me, this is a no-brainer. Give me Velocicoaster in Disney.
That's true.
And put that
Right.
in Dino Land because
That's true.
I might even say let's trade all of Dino Land USA for the Jurassic Park area of
I love
Universal
this
because
idea.
I love it.
they
Just
don't
call it
do
The Good
Dino
Dinosaur.
Land.
Give that movie some promotion. Why not?
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's something because that's my one beef with Animal Kingdom is Dino Land USA. They could have, if you're gonna make a land for dinosaurs, you make it based on like some carnival game night. I don't know what they did there other than the dinosaur ride. It's really lackluster, and I felt like it took no Imagineering. I felt like they were like, well, we want to do something with dinosaurs, and well, we had it was like so non Disney like to be able to, what they did with it. It was like I thought they I don't know. I just thought they dropped the ball on Dino Land. They
I
thought they
feel
could
like
have been really
they've
cool.
given up on Animal Kingdom. I feel not Animal Kingdom, but Dino Land itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I kind of think that when they circle back to Animal Kingdom, and I guess that'll be the next one in line for an update, since Pandora's will be probably 6 or 7, 8 years old by then. I think Dino Land might be the one they will focus on in that whole area because I
Yeah,
feel like
maybe.
there's so much area and room over there with the Primeval World gone. That's a ton of room to put something in. I don't know if the Boneyard will come back anytime soon. Dinosaur is kind of like I said, the whole carnival thing. It's a great theme in theory and a great story in theory. If they not do anything with it and just let it kind of sit there, it just kind of ruins it. So yeah, I think that's the next area that they either they do something completely different or they renovate that particular attraction or that whole area. Jen, what are you giving to Universal and what are you taking? And by the way, I like Test Track. I like that. I'm sending Test Track over there as well.
Yeah.
I'm taking Mummy back. So
I, um, The family one is a little harder for me because I'm a thrill ride girl. So when I go to Universal, I'm really focusing in on the thrill rides.
Well, Jen hates children, so she's.
Oh yeah, obviously that was the subtext of there. What?
Of course. That's what I heard.
I am giving them, and this is not a surprise to anybody, I'm giving them Tomorrowland Speedway. They can have the Speedway. Goodbye,
Make
smelly
that the Fast and Furious ride
diesel.
over there, sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna they can just take that.
Yep.
And because I really cannot think of any other family friendly attractions from Universal. Oh no, you know what? I take that back. Race through New York with Jimmy Fallon. I will move that over because we could easily retheme that to something Disney IP. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we could retheme that bad boy to, and it could even change. So I will I will do that. Bye-bye Tomorrowland Speedway. Sorry. The other one, this one was a little harder. I would 100% take the Hulk coaster from Islands of Adventure because I think that's a great launch coaster. I would have said Velocicoaster, but if we can have both, then Gene's bringing over Velocicoaster for us. I will then bring over Hulk.
And it's a Marvel theme. Let's bring some Marvel.
I was going to say it's a Marvel
in this
theme.
world, the contract doesn't matter. Let's just bring it over.
Like exactly. And so it could actually stay as is. I would gladly give up Dinosaur. If we're still considering that a thrill ride, which I think it kind of is. I'm sorry. That's bye.
Yeah.
If it was an Indiana Jones, the Indiana Jones version in Disneyland, fantastic. I'm not giving that one up. It's the dinosaur one.
Well, now Indiana Jones has become the Mummy has become Indy Jones. So
so it's good. Like this all works.
Exactly. Last question here, and this is the one I saved for the last because I kind of really like the concept of this. There's two answers to this. First question. You bring Walt Disney himself from the early 60s. Disneyland's already been built. It's already going. Walt Disney World's in his head. To modern day. What attraction would you love to take him on so you can just see how he, this is incredible? And conversely, you go back in time to the 50s to Disneyland. What attraction would you love to ride with Walt Disney on? To experience with him, knowing he loves the ride and he's just he's going to be able to tell you all about it. So
I'm taking him on Flight of Passage. Because I think the Imagineering would blow his mind. And if I could go back in time, I would ride the train with him when he's driving it.
Yeah, those
sorry.
Been my answer.
That was easy.
It's okay. That's good. That's good. Gene, what do you think?
If I could go back in time, this one's easy. I think it would be Carousel of Progress.
That's a good one.
Just because I think that's one of the big things he had was just technology and the future.
Right.
If I was going to go on a ride with him here, it would probably either be one of two, both in Epcot. I would either say Soarin', but and only because I love Soarin', I would love to see his vision of it. But the one I would like to go on with him for him, not for me, is Mission Space. I'm not a big Mission Space guy, but I think because of his desire about space and everything else, his love of outer space, I feel like that would be a fun ride to go on with him. It might make him a little nauseous, but but it would. But I think that would be a cool one to take with him, just because of his passion for space exploration.
Yeah. I think I would love to have ridden. I want to say I think this was around back then, 20,000 Leagues with Walt.
I think that was around
with Disneyland. I think that I was thinking that one, or I was thinking Pirates. Because I know that Pirates was a big one. And honestly, I think riding Jungle Cruise with him now would have been great, because I know that was a ride that he had his hands in before he died. And to see because I know he wanted the animals to be live, and of course they had to go to the animatronics or whatever. But just and I agree with all of that, what you guys said too about the technology and everything. And I was thinking Soarin' too, because you get to see the world and just whatever. Even Bindi Eiffel Tower looks cool when you're from the 60s. But I'm thinking riding Jungle Cruise with him now to say, this is what your vision brought. Look how popular this ride is. Listen to the jokes. Yes, I know you're Walt Disney. You could probably get these speakers fixed pretty fast with just a snap of your fingers, but let's move past that. So, very good, great answers, great discussion. Those are your magical 5 questions with Gene from. I want to say Disney Underground, but if I say Gene from, what am I filling the blank in with?
Gene FitzMagic from the FPE Network as of right
FPE
now.
Network.
That's pretty much I'm pretty much on every other show that they have over there. So FPE Network on YouTube is pretty much my home.
Okay.
And see, that's what we can do, Jen, with Race from Jimmy Fallon. Just put him in the show.
There you go.
And instead of race through Magic Kingdom with Gene. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just race.
Done.
I love it.
I'm good. Let's do it.
I love that.
Sweet.
I love to host your own
Get
show.
Bobby on
going
the
through
phone.
it.
Let's set this up.
All right, I'm done.
You're in a Tomorrowland Speedway car. You're racing down Main Street.
I'm calling
you're
Joe
going through
Rohde.
Epcot and just, I
Let's
love it. Yeah, call Joe Rohde. He'll be like, Disney who? I don't work there.
I know.
When you get them on the phone, you tell them from me. Gene, where can we find you? Where can people follow you online? And I know like 1,000 places at this point, but where are the main places people go to find you and branch out from there?
Well, you can find me on my Instagram at Gene FitzMagic, at Gene FitzMagic. And then on YouTube, FPE Network. I'm pretty much on 5 nights a week.
I love it.
Once you just go on anytime around 9 o'clock, and I'm a good chance I'm on live. So
I love it. I love it.
That's where.
That's really cool. Jen, where can we find you? Seeing pictures of the Galactic Star Cruiser. Of course, listen to last week's episode, and Jen will give you all the good details about that. But
Absolutely.
Where can we find you online and all your fun pictures?
At Upon a Star Jen, and then my personal Instagram is at Jen_Novotny.
Very cool. Find me online on Facebook at Magic on $1 and Disney on $1. I love to have you on both of those platforms. And of course, Instagram is the Magic on $1. Go there. And of course, Disney, travel, all kinds of fun stuff. And this week, of course, we're doing the movie matchups, and some of the big movies are coming in now, so you can vote on some of your favorites there. Of course, find the show at themsepodcast.com. That's our show notes. Go there. You'll see all the show notes, and plus links to Gene stuff as well. So you'll get to see him. If you didn't listen to that part of the episode, you can go there and click on that and find the stuff there. Themsepodcast@gmail.com. That is our email address. We'd love to hear from you. We actually get a few emails from fans here and there, including we have a fan from Norway that has written in a couple of times. We need to acknowledge that next week on the show, because I got to find the email, got to remember to do it. But thank you, Gear, for listening to the show and calling you out. I appreciate you, buddy. That's awesome. Yeah, find us online at the MSE Podcast on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all those usual type places. So, Gene, this was wonderful to meet you. You are a fascinating individual, and I love hearing all these things from you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you guys having me in.
This was great. Jen, until next time, I'm sure that I'll talk to you in 20 minutes, because that's what always happens. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.